My husband has always been more important to me than my children, and I'd choose him again every single time. I know how that sounds, and I don't care anymore. For 19 years, I pretended that wasn't true because the world told me it shouldn't be. It started the night we brought our first son home from the hospital. My mother-in-law was staying with us for the week. She watched me hand the baby to my husband so I could eat dinner with both hands and said, "A real mother wouldn't put that child down for anything." I smiled and took him back. But something cold settled in my stomach that night and never fully left. When I looked at my husband across the room, I felt something deeper than what I felt holding my newborn son, and I hated myself for it. Our second boy came 2 years later. I loved them both with everything I had, drove them to every practice in the rain, sat on freezing metal bleachers for 6 a.m. hockey games every Saturday for 11 years straight, packed lunches with little notes tucked inside the napkin, read to them every single night until they told me they were too old for it. I never once let them feel like they were second to anything. But my husband never had to compete for space in my heart. He just lived there, in the permanent room I built for him long before the boys ever existed. Every Friday night, no matter what, we'd cook dinner together. Just the two of us in the kitchen with the radio on too loud. The boys would groan and leave the room because we'd dance between the stove and the counter like idiots. Those Friday nights kept me breathing through the hardest years of my life. 2 years ago, my husband got diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's. He was 51. The tremor started in his left hand. Then his voice got quieter. Then some mornings he couldn't button his own shirt. I adjusted everything without a single complaint, drove him to every appointment, learned his medications by heart, held his hand steady when he couldn't hold his own coffee cup. My sister came to visit last Thanksgiving. She pulled me aside in the laundry room while the boys were watching the game, said I was pouring everything into my husband and neglecting my sons. Said, "Those boys need their mother right now, and all you care about is him." I told her she didn't understand. She said, "No, I understand perfectly. You've always loved him more. Everyone sees it. It's selfish." That word hit me like a fist to the chest. She told my sons the next morning before she even left the house, sat them down at the kitchen table like she was delivering a verdict, told them their mother had always chosen their father over them. Then she flew home and didn't call for 3 months. I found out what she'd said when my youngest, Callum, stopped answering my texts. My oldest, Rory, called me one night and just said, "We need to talk, Mom. Just us three." My blood went completely cold. I barely slept for a week. How do you explain to your children that your heart has a room they've never been inside? They drove home the following Sunday. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where I packed those lunches with the little notes. Rory spoke first. Aunt Diane told us everything. I opened my mouth but nothing came out. Callum leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. "Mom, we already know Dad is your person. We've known since we were kids." Rory almost laughed. "You literally stare at him like he hung the moon. It's not exactly a secret." Callum leaned forward. "You know what I remember most about growing up? Those Friday nights, you and Dad in the kitchen being ridiculous. Rory and I would sit on the stairs and watch you guys through the doorway. We never actually left the room." My throat closed completely. "You showed up to everything. You never missed a single game. You packed those stupid little notes that I still have in a box in my apartment." Rory grabbed my hand across the table. "Aunt Diane called it selfish, but it's the reason Callum and I both know what real love looks like. You didn't just tell us. You showed us every single day." Callum's voice cracked. "Now Dad's sick, and instead of falling apart, you hold his coffee cup steady every morning without making him feel small. That's not selfish, Mom. That's the kind of love most people never get to see up close." I broke down right there at the kitchen table. Both of them held me and nobody said anything for a long time. That Friday, my husband and I cooked dinner together. His hands were shaking, but he still tried to chop the onions. The radio was on too loud, and when I turned around, both boys were sitting on the stairs watching us through the doorway.